simplistic when I would use the word silly, but it's silly. People, adult is Frasier, for heaven's sake. You got to be an adult to really get the kick out of Frasier because you don't know all the words until you're about 22. That's adult. Bad comedy and questionable material to me is childish, and what it does is it runs off a portion of your audience, but I don't think it brings anybody else to the program. If I want to see porn, I can rent a porn tape. If I want to watch comedy, I can watch a comedy on television. If I want to see naked women, I've got 400 cable channels. I want to see wrestling. I want to see people talk about wrestling, and people wrestle, and then people talk about the results of what happened when they wrestled. The personalities are colorful enough and entertaining enough without having to throw all that stuff in. Yes, there has to be bells and whistles. I've had cakes in my face on national television.
Right.
I was stripped to my boxer shorts and fed a baby bottle in the Superdome. I was tarred and feathered in the Omni. There's got to be a little gaga, but it has to be based around wrestling and not offending your fans. I don't want to. I'm not religious, but I don't want to offend people's religions.
Right.
I'm not. I'm not gay, but I don't want to make fun of people that are gay if I want them to watch my television program.
Right.
Why am I trying to piss these people off?
Right.
I just want to present a program that people can enjoy watching if they choose to do so without being insulted.
Is that kind of why you ended up with TNA, because they are wrestling and not sports entertainment?
Well, yes, and also because I've watched a number of their programs, especially as the talks between us got serious, and I can't say that I saw anything that insulted my intelligence as far as just silliness, making a mockery of the business or whatever. Everybody's going out and trying to do the best job that they can to produce a quality product. And so, when I was still with OVW and we had the relationship with the WWE and people would stop me here at Kroger in Louisville or whatever, I would have to downplay our relationship with the WWE because they would be coming up to me saying, well, how can you be involved in that? What they did the other night or what they did with the midget or what they did with the dwarf or what they did with the hooker, it was embarrassing.
Exactly.
Because these are people in my hometown that know me and have seen me around for 25 years, and I didn't want to have to explain to them why that I'm affiliated with that type of programming.
I absolutely agree. I'm known as the wrestling guy amongst town, and when they come up to me like, how could you watch what they do with the feces and things like that, it's just, that's not me.
And I've got to say another thing here, and once again, I got a platform here, and Ross Foreman is probably sitting back somewhere dying going, geez, we're way over time. But this worm-eating business. Now, I like the Boogeyman. He's a hell of a guy. He's strange, and I'll tell you something. I wouldn't be the one to want to fire him whenever he gets fired because, believe me, Boogeyman's a good name for him, and what you see is what you get. And if he wants to eat worms, that's fine. But I don't want to watch somebody eat worms on TV. It's the same reason I don't watch Fear Factor. I don't like bugs. I don't want to see people eating them. But when you go so far as to start dumping worms in other people's mouths or in women's mouths or kissing them with... There's got to be a line drawn. And, the day that I need a job badly enough that I can show up for work and somebody says, we're going to have this guy dump 150 live worms in your mouth, and I don't say, no, that won't be happening tonight or any other time, I hope to God it never comes to where I need a job that bad.
I got 3 more questions for you. I hope you have time to answer them.
Absolutely.
Okay. This is not a TNA question. I do apologize, but it has to do with an announcer who wasn't a fan of yours from the dying days of WCW, Mark Madden. He made a comment once that you fell off the scaffold in 1988 and ended your career, and you haven't realized it yet. Do you have any response to that?
Yeah, well, somebody just told me that Mark Madden had a heart attack recently. I find that hard to believe because I don't think he has a heart. Mark Madden was a guy that I thought was a friend of mine that I used to speak to on the phone about once a month with, and he even came down to Smoky Mountain Wrestling and spent a weekend with us going to the matches, and I drove him to the matches in my own car, and we were fine. But then he got the job, which he'd always wanted to be in wrestling, and he got a job doing the hotline for WCW, and to try to kiss Eric Bischoff's butt, he started, when I wasn't even affiliated with the company, he didn't have anything to do with the company, he started basically lying about me, and if you tell the truth, that's fine, but he lied about me. He said that I'd stiffed people on payoffs. He said that I'd done this and that and the other. He lied, basically. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but he lied. And I called him up, and he wouldn't talk to me. He put his mother on the phone. His poor mother had to hear my wrath because the guy was too cowardly to talk to me. And we're going to have a fight one of these days. If I ever see him, I'm just going to tell you that right now. If this is a threat and I can be arrested for it, fine. One of these days, we're going to have a fight if I'm in the same place. And I'll tell you this, I've been in the same place with him one time since then. Mm-hmm. And it was at a fundraiser for Mark Curtis, my good friend Brian Hildebrand, who passed away shortly after of cancer. There was a fundraiser in his hometown that I agreed to go to. A lot of guys were there. Mick Foley was there. Mark Curtis had tons of friends. And Mark Madden came to do publicity. And I heard the night before that he was going to be there, so I called the promoter. And I said, look, I don't know if I can control myself. I don't want to get in a big stink with this guy, so I'm going to bow out so I don't ruin your show. And the promoter said, don't do that, don't do that. I'll talk to him. And, you know, he's doing radio publicity for us, but I'll make sure that y'all never see each other. And when Madden found out that I'd even offered to pull out, he called the promoter and said, look, if Cornette touches me, then I will sue you and I will attach the gate and my lawyers will take it. So he's going to take the money from a guy that has cancer that is going to pay for his medical bills because he's not man enough to take the ass whipping that he's got coming for lying about a guy on a public forum like a 900 number, and knew it was lies and didn't even bother to check it out and made it up to suck up to Eric Bischoff. Mark Madden can kiss my big fat white ass.
Wow, that's a good quote.
And there you have it.
All right, two more left for you. When you get backstage in TNA, you see all these great young talents. Earlier on, you put over America's Most Wanted and Styles and Daniels as great tag teams. But when you see these young talents, somebody asked you about OVW, what do you see in TNA? Who do you think is really going to capture that audience?
Well, you know, there's so many guys that are getting their first national television exposure, you know, with TNA, the guys that I mentioned, and a lot of the X Division guys. And, you know, and some people say, well, the X Division is for the cruiserweights, but then Samoa Joe was the champion. To me, the X Division, in theory, was for the guys that want to get a little bit more extreme, regardless of what their size is. But I think any of the guys, you know, you can talk about the naturals earlier. You know, great-looking young athletes. Anybody right now that's on TNA television that's getting their first national exposure, to me, has a chance to be a breakout star, so you can just pick it. Because they all have the determination, they have the drive, they have ability, and the ones that are featured and catch on with the audience are going to be pushed to the moon because that's the idea. You want people that the fans want to see. So I think any of these guys could be the next breakout star because they all want it.
You don't think any shine brighter than others like Joe or a guy that I'm really high on, Eric Young?
Oh, well, you know, Team Canada, and, of course, you know, D'Amore Butterball, you know, he's a heat-seeking missile. I'm going to probably have some issues with him as well, as I already have, but to me, he grouped Team Canada together to have people to back him up, and it's hurting their individual careers. I don't like to see four guys in a group. Tag team's fine, but I like to see guys going out and thinking about their own individual interests. So Eric Young is a good talent. I think Bobby Roode's a tremendous talent. You know, Petey Williams, his size works against him in terms of standing up physically against some of the bigger guys, but he can run circles around them, and that Canadian destroyer, I'm just glad that I'm retired from physical competition. You know, so, I mean, it's any of these guys. They've waited for their opportunity, and now it's here, and they're trying to grab it, as the old saying goes, grab the bull by the tail and face the situation.
Final question for you to involve this Sunday. As a man of style, with your famed suits and the tennis racket that you usually matched, how do you think Larry Zbyszko will look bald?
I'll tell you something. You know, Raven, it wouldn't hurt him to go ahead and shave his head anyway, just for the sake of it. I mean, poor Raven has had some bad hair days here of late, but Mr. Zbyszko seems to be so concerned about his comb-over and his lack of plumage up there. And, you know, that's another thing. I was disappointed in Larry, who I've known for 20 years, who is allowing himself to get trapped into the Jeff Jarrett business. And what kind of authority figure is he when he's hemming and hawing and he's basically got his hand? You know how I met Larry Zbyszko? I reached in my back pocket to grab my wallet and shook hands with him. That's how I met Larry Zbyszko. He's always got his hand in somebody else's pocket. So we're going to find out. He doesn't have to go through with this, like I said on television. He can go ahead and breach his contract and be on his way, and we can part friends, or he can be involved in this, and I will do everything I can to make him a miserable human being for as long as it takes. Because I want TNA to succeed, and I don't think anybody has any faith in the impotent authority figures that they've had until now. So I'm going to do something about that.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing you this Sunday at the pay-per-view, and thank you so much for taking the time out to give me a couple minutes.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate it.
Feud, and some fans may be aware of this, and this may be something that you might want to touch on. There's been 3 major feuds that you've been slightly involved with. One of them is Paul Lee. Another one is Vince Russo. And what did you think about the Vince McMahon and Bischoff getting together on the same program?
Well, I was fortunate enough not to have to witness the majority of that programming, but you know, see, that's the thing. If I've found, at least it appears to me, from my involvement in this whole situation, that if you are loyal and faithful to the WWE and to Vince McMahon, such as Jim Ross was when they publicly humiliated him, kicked him in the nuts, left him laying in the ring, unceremoniously dumped him off of broadcasting Raw when he's the best announcer in the business, and then made fun of his serious surgery after he'd been a valuable employee for 10 years. If you're